Welcome to the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast, where we help you take the next step in your fantasy journey. Here's your host, Jake.
Excellent. As always. Yeah. As always. Yeah. It's a great day. Mm. What? Who's we?
My fault. Hold on. My fault. I was muted on myself, so they could hear you nice and. What I was saying though was that welcome back to the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast, and I was talking about how I have a crappy camera. But anyways, we're gonna have to fix that. Jordan, tell the people again how you're doing.
Excellent, as always, Jake.
All right. It wouldn't be an episode of the podcast if something didn't go wrong. Not joined by the coach Adam today. He is currently on the golf course, and from what he's telling us, killing it.
He's playing a great round.
He said, "Hold up, boys. I might win some cash." All right.
Come on.
Make cash money.
And then he can buy a new camera.
No, yeah, probably. Maybe we could just start with like a new internet connection. That'd be cool too. So,
Yep.
As we said in the intro, we're live on YouTube right now. YouTube.com/Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. We got people in the chat. Just gonna shout some people out. Don's here. John's here. Joey's here. I think those are the three that we've seen in the chat right now. Good to see you guys. And thanks for telling me that you couldn't hear me. So I appreciate that. Otherwise, I would have kept talking. So, Jordan. It is time for the NFC East. We only have 3 more of these, including tonight. And then we can get into the fun stuff, in my opinion. I love doing these breakdowns. They're fun, right? They're great. But on our end, admittedly, at least for me, it gets a little repetitive. So, it's still good, important information to hear. But
it gives us a solid foundation.
That's what it is, right? It's like, here's 8 weeks. Now, this is good information if you're drafting early. Yep. Hopefully it's helping anyone who is drafting in June. So, before we get into the NFC East, Jordan, do you have any news?
I got 2 pieces of news.
All right,
just 2 deals that got signed. Trevor Lawrence signs mega extension, 5-year, $275 million contract extension. Puts him about $55 million a year. Puts him right tied with Joe Burrow for contract value for highest paid QB. Jake, what are your thoughts? I feel like a lot of sports pundits and media right now there's a very polarizing opinion about if you agree with that extension or not. What's that face?
I'm making a pretty bad face. I'm going to be honest. Here's the thing. I like Trevor Lawrence. I really do. In fantasy, I like him this year as well. As a Packer fan, oh God, we're going to have to pay Jordan Love. He's the highest paid quarterback. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks, and he's done jack diddly squat. That I don't love that. I don't love that. Does he deserve his money? That's the question, right? I am part of the whole if you can get the bag, get the bag. So good for him.
Wait, there's two parts of this. There's Trevor Lawrence, the player. Obviously, we're happy for him.
Oh yeah, take the money.
Yeah, way to go.
We have said on this podcast that we are willing to sell our souls for that kind of money. So.
Yep. Jake, switch your hat now. You are NFL ownership hat. How do you feel about that?
Well, the issue, and I think this is, I don't know, I read something the other day that they're talking about maybe, trying to, in the next CBA, talk about capping certain situations, because it's like, he's up for an extension. He's good enough. Is Trevor Lawrence good enough to win you a Super Bowl? I would say he's in that. Yes, he could do it. Plus the potential, right? And you have to pay him because you're not going to let him walk. You're just not going to let him walk. And he's not going to... And him and his agents and all these quarterbacks are not just going to be like, we'll take a lesser deal because I haven't proven it yet. No. They're going to take it as much money as possible, and this is what happens. if I'm
you
the
didn't
bank,
need to do it this year. Like, you could have waited. He has 2 years left on his rookie deal.
yeah, they pretty much just really love him, and I get it. The hype's there. He's good, but I mean, he doesn't have a playoff win. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
like that. Like, no, thank you. No, so ownership, I get it. I guess in the sense that, like, I mean, it's the same reason why the Packers are going to pay Jordan Love here coming up. They've seen what it could be, and they have to keep that because what's the alternative? There is no other alternative. Yeah, let him walk, and you have whoever the heck is behind him. You know,
you can't have that.
So you can't have that. John in the chat says Brady took deals.
Yeah, after he.
It's also
Super Bowl.
Listen. We've talked about Tom Brady and all that. I can't stand that. I'm sorry. He took deals. It wasn't the same amount of money. It wasn't. And you'll say, oh, the cap wasn't the same. It wasn't even like the same. like if you were to include inflation, it wasn't the same. And when you say he took deals, he just changed his contracts. Just looked. They were a lot more front loaded versus back loaded, so it looked better. Tom Brady made his money. Let's not sit here and pretend like he didn't. So
yeah, Tom Brady did take less money than he probably could have.
Yeah, later on.
Yeah, but he was still winning Super Bowls then. That's better than Trevor Lawrence.
That's true. I get it.
You know,
I get it.
Yeah, it is. I'm in the opposite camp. I'm all about it.
Okay,
Pay the man, and as ownership, you got to do it. Like, you're right. You got to lock him up.
You hate it though. You hate it.
No, and then maneuver the contract around. Like, I feel like every year these guys are renegotiating contracts to move money around to get good players. I just think that the AFC South is weirdly competitive all of a sudden
with all the young quarterbacks and
CJ Stroud, and who knows, they're putting everything around Will Levis.
I do like Will
I'm
Levis.
about it. You got to do it. You got to do something. So
yeah,
Dak's gonna get paid huge money. Jordan Love's going to get paid huge money, and Tua's still got to get paid huge money here, too.
Yeah. What else you got?
Last contract thing that signed, Ramondre Stevenson signs a 4-year extension, $36 million, with the Patriots.
What do you think
that
of that?
locks him in. That locks him in as the guy there, which it's such a different. This to me is like really shows how different it is now that Bill Belichick's not calling the shots. Because Bill Belichick would never do this.
No, not a chance.
4 years, $36 million for running back. No, he just bring in 6 guys to do the job. So I think it's showing a shift to, hey, we have this guy and he's going to be our bell cow. I like it for fantasy, to be honest.
Do you think
he like Ramondre more?
Do you think that Gibson is less involved in the pass game because they paid him? Is Gibson less involved in the pass game because they paid Stevenson?
Well, no, Stevenson's involved in the pass game a ton already.
Yeah, but don't you think he'll take some of that from him?
I mean, maybe.
Oh, okay. And there's your important information here is, well, maybe.
Oh, sorry, what do you want me to say?
What do you think?
What do you want me to say? Huh?
What do you think's going to happen?
In the pass game specifically?
Yes.
I think Stevenson will get 40 receptions this year.
I mean, he had 60 last year. You think Gibson only takes 20? Because they bring Gibson in to be the third down guy. I think that was the idea, the thought. Do you think that's the case still with Stevenson being paid like this? Because that matters fantasy-wise.
Yeah. No, I'm not high on Gibson. I wasn't high on Gibson to start, and I still don't think I am. I still think I'm Stevenson. Gibson's in the twilight of his
In my
career.
opinion, this is more interesting because I think that what this is saying is that offense might look different. A lot more run heavy, you know. They're paying their guy. So you might, I mean, we don't know for sure, right? But I'm thinking we could be looking at Stevenson maybe seeing career highs in carries, right? More willing to, when you're inside the goal or the 10, we're running the ball. Like we're pounding a Derrick Henry type of thinking. Yeah. Which wouldn't be shocking coming from a linebacker coach, right? Looking back, I mean, I'm trying to think of Mike Vrabel, linebacker, heavy run.
Derrick Henry, yeah.
Right? So I'm wondering if that might be what he's trying to model that off of. But when they said they were going to pay him, going off his year last year, I was surprised. And then you got the good amount of money here, and you're like, all right, they must really They're all in.
They see something in him. I mean, I'm excited about it. Like no Zeke there, who actually had a great year.
Yeah.
Like if I'm thinking who's taking whose carries, I think Stevenson's claiming some things back from Zeke, and so even if he loses a little to Gibson, it's probably still net positive for Stevenson.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Well, I think it's good for his ADP right now. Do you think his ADP goes up?
Yes.
Just because he got paid?
Well, yeah. Yes.
I would agree.
If
But
it doesn't,
if you're drafting
then take
today,
him.
take him.
Yep.
Someone in the chat said he's a strong RB2 or high-end RB3 in redraft leagues. I see him as a RB2 100%.
Yeah, I think so. I would agree with that.
RB3, I mean, you're taking him what? Like, I think Stevenson's more in that 10 to 20 than he is the 21 to 30.
He's currently today
Yeah.
RB19.
See, I think
I
that's
think that
right where he
ticks
needs
up.
to be.
I think that ticks up. He's right ahead of Najee and right behind Aaron Jones.
I love
bet you-
this. I mean, we've talked about it. I love this section of running backs. Can you give me like the 3 before and after him?
Yes, I can. It is
Before.
Joe Mixon at 15, Ken Walker at 16, Alvin Kamara at 17, Aaron Jones at 18, Ramondre at 19.
Okay, so that's 5 ahead of him. I love all of them.
Then Najee,
Yep, love him. We've talked about that.
DeAndre Swift,
I like Swift. We talked about that.
David Montgomery, Zamir White, James Conner. That's kind of who.
Okay, don't really love those as much. But my point is I really like that area of running back 2s who I think could finish higher than what they're being drafted. I mean, Mixon at 15 is the highest of those, obviously, but like I think there's no reason Stevenson couldn't finish in the top 15. So
yeah, I think all of them you're taking and hoping they can get you into the 10 to 12, 9 to 12.
Yep.
You know,
and this is why you're taking receivers early, most likely. So
yes.
Why don't we shift gears then, Jordan? We're going on to the NFC East. The Cowboys, Commanders, Eagles, and Giants. Usually we've had Adam rank these teams. I know you don't have a vested interest in really any of these teams, but Jordan, why don't you tell us your scale of hatred and start with the team you like the best in this division?
My favorite team.
Your favorite team, and we'll get to the worst team because we all know who it is. So,
I'm going to go with the Eagles I like the most.
Good answer. I would have said Commanders personally for me, only because of the new ownership. I like the guys there, but there's something about them that are still a little icky to me.
Correct.
The Dan Schneider still smells like.
Yeah, they're going to be second on my list here. But yes,
right. We got the NFC East, Philadelphia Eagles. Jordan, can you start and talk about Jalen Hurts while I pull up our cheat sheet that I forgot to download?
Yes, I will. Jalen Hurts, it's all about those rushing touchdowns for Jalen Hurts.
The tush push.
Last year he had 3,800 pass yards, 23 touchdowns, and 15 picks, which that stat line, not that amazing. Not that impressive as far as a quarterback goes, right?
Yeah.
And then he added another 600 yards on the ground and 15 additional touchdowns.
Do me a favor, okay?
Yeah.
Do you have how many fantasy points he had last year on your computer here?
Just this random source, 356.
Okay. Can you take away? So he had 15 rushing attempts. If you took away 10 of his rushing touchdowns, that's negative 60 points. Where would that put him? And I'll let you
it was at 356, and we're taking away 60 points, basically, right?
Yeah.
That would put him.
You have 297, whatever it is.
Yep. Just behind Brock Purdy at QB7.
So he drops.
Would be QB8.
Yeah,
QB8.
He drops significantly.
Ahead of Jared Goff, behind Brock Purdy.
But I mean, without those rushing touchdowns, he's dropping from a top 3 to barely a top 10.
Correct.
So going as QB2 in the 4th round, how do you feel about? We'll get to Saquon Barkley being taken, but how do you think he replicates another 15 touchdowns?
No, 15 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
No, he does not.
I think
he could have 10.
Yeah,
I would say 10.
And 10 puts him, top 6, 5, somewhere in
Would
there.
Still puts him in the mix for a top 5 quarterback if he has 10 rushing touchdowns.
I hear you. I like it.
Yeah.
I understand. We love Jalen Hurts. We've always talked about it.
Yep.
I'm not. He makes me nervous though. I'd much rather if I'm taking the quarterback early, give me Josh Allen.
Oh yes.
You know,
He's
I
not,
like.
I love Jalen Hurts. He's not the quarter. If I'm taking a quarterback early, he's not the one I'm doing it with.
I can't. You just can't guarantee.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And with quarterbacks and running, there's a possibility he gets hurt. He played every game last year, and still getting 15 touchdowns. If I'm guessing here, I think the yards stay relatively the same. The touchdowns, I would lean towards going up, like the passing touchdowns. 15 interceptions, I would guess, is going to go down. And I think he finishes somewhere between 9, 10 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, which is still great.
I think that's the scale. His passing stats improve, his rushing stats go down.
And that's what you want. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I mean, he's bringing in Saquon. That's going to take away some of that rushing need. You know, another year with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert's going to be healthy. You know, kind of running through the list here. I think there's so many good pass catchers there.
Yeah, so... for me, it's definitely I don't want him there. I mean, if he falls, great. But if you're gonna take one early, I'd rather have Lamar in this situation. If you're going based just on rushing, I'm going Lamar. I want Josh Allen. So not for us here. I understand why someone would do it though. If you want a quarterback early, go ahead. Again, it's just not our cup of tea, but we understand why you'd want to. But just
it's
a little.
The ADP that's
it's
the
ADP that kills.
It's not the player. It's the ADP.
Yeah.
Yep.
Someone asked, do you take Hurts or Trevor or Hurts or Dak? I'd still take Hurts over both of them.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if it was just like, who would you rather have?
Yeah.
I'd rather have Hurts in all of those. Yep.
All right. They go ahead and sign Saquon Barkley. Finishes running back 13, being taken 2-4, running back 6. Whew. This is hard. Most teams in this situation are taking a receiver in the back half of the first round, and this is their running back 1. Barkley is more talented than DeAndre Swift. We can say that, right?
Yep.
But is he going to get the touchdowns? And that's the problem, because the tush push is still a thing for this year. John in chat says they're going to ban it. Maybe, but they're not banning it this year. So, what do you think? Because, I mean, DeAndre Swift, I believe, he had 2 touchdowns? 4 touchdowns? Something like that, right? So, he didn't get the touchdowns when he inside the 5. Do you think he can return running back 6, early second round value?
DeAndre Swift had 5 rushing touchdowns last year.
Okay.
And 1 receiving touchdown. So that was kind of where it put him.
Yeah.
I would put Saquon in a similar boat.
Okay.
I think he's going to have over 1,000 rush yards. And if he gets 6 rushing touchdowns, that's like great. He's going to be below 10.
So
do you want him north of 5?
You're going to say no? All right.
What?
How many times are you going to take Saquon here? At 2-4.
At 2-4, almost none.
Would you, if you go,
I'd rather have Jonathan Taylor.
So that's my question. You'd rather go a different direction, right?
Yeah.
Because if you take
Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor,
I'd rather have both. And I mean, going at the 1-6 would be your first round pick, 1-7.
Yeah.
If you go receiver, I want something a little safer. As my Jonathan Taylor as my running back 2, Jahmyr Gibbs at the upside. I like that a lot more. But if you go running back first, you're probably not wanting to go running back, right? So you probably go aim for a receiver there. So I just don't see myself ending up with a lot of Saquon. Love Saquon, but hate the team that he went to for fantasy.
And I don't even hate the team he went to. I hate it for only the touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like his yards are going to improve. He's going to be a better pass catcher. Like it's going to be excellent for him. He's going to have an awesome season. And we're going to look back at the end of the year and we're going to be like, why did he have 1,200, almost 1,500 total yards and 3 touchdowns?
He had 1,500 total yards and finishes running back 9.
That's
just not what.
That's realistic.
Yeah, that's that. I'll book it.
Ooh.
I will say that we at the end of the year we will look at. You can book it. That at the end of this year, this isn't number specific, but we can discuss it during our book it episode later on next year. We will look at his, again, barring injury, we will look at his stats and we'll say, man, he had a good year. And yet, for some reason, in fantasy, it was disappointing. And now, that's not very specific, but I think you guys can understand what I'm saying. The stats will say, man, that was good. And then for some reason, he'll have 4 touchdowns, and the stats will say he should be running back 1 if he could have just shared some touchdowns with Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to the receivers. Love the receiver. We talked about A.J. Brown, nearly 1,500 yards, going 1-9. That's another thing in this scenario that we were just talking about with Barkley. You could be looking at A.J. Brown in the first round, and you're not going to turn around and take his teammate in the second round, right? So
Yeah, no, you would not.
I love A.J. Brown. I love the 1-9 option. I think he could finish it's certainly possible to me that he can finish higher than wide receiver 8, which is what he's going, or wide receiver 6 as he's going. Wide receiver 3 is definitely possible out of him.
Absolutely. I agree. I think he's in line for another 100. I think he'll have a similar year to this year. I want to say like
1,500 yards,
100 receptions,
7
1,500 yards, less like 7 to 10 touchdowns. That's what he had.
This feels safe.
Yeah. So you're right. He could be a top 3. I think more realistically, he's like wide receiver 6, wide receiver 7.
What do you think?
He just hits those numbers.
If you're taking A.J. Brown, you feel safe there.
Yes.
And let's say you want to go running back in the second round, and we'll do some mock drafts on the podcast here so we can kind of talk these out. But I want to just kind of throw this one out to you, Jordan. If you're taking A.J. Brown back half of the first round, which is a safe pick we can agree on, are you going to go Jonathan Taylor, who's safe, right? Or would you lean more towards Gibbs, which is a little bit riskier, but because you went safe to start, you might offset that with a little bit more risk.
Correct. Yep. I love me some Gibbs.
You love you some Gibbs?
Friend of the podcast, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Friend of the podcast. That's right. I forgot about that. Friend of the podcast, Jahmyr Gibbs. So anyways, we like A.J. Brown. Love it. The other receiver we got Devonta Smith. Just over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Going in the 4th round, wide receiver 23. He finishes wide receiver 22 last year. The chat right now is saying they love Smith more than A.J. Brown this year.
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that for me. I will hear why in a sec, hopefully. But how do you like him in the 4th round? How do you like that?
He's in that tier, we kind of talk about like the second wide receiver on
Your
a
Jalen
team.
Waddle. Your T.
Jalen
Higgins.
Waddles. Yeah, T. Higgins a little bit less because of the contract stuff right now. But yeah, T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith. Of those 3, I love Devonta Smith the most.
Gotcha.
Devonta Smith, high-end wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2, consistently. Like, that is what he will give you. He will give you.
I would argue that he gives more wide receiver 2s than he'll give wide receiver 3s.
Well, he finished as wide receiver 3 last year.
Okay.
And he's being drafted as wide receiver 3 now.
Why are you arguing with me? I'm just saying, I think... Okay, forget it. Keep going.
What?
No, forget it. Just go.
Do you want me to agree with you?
No,
Great
I don't.
take, Jake.
No,
You're so
forget it.
smart.
I hate you. So
Wow.
I never loved you.
Wow.
Okay.
Devonta Smith. Everyone should take him.
All right, if you guys ain't got anything else
What
you
a
want to
great
say,
ADP.
take care, be good.
All right,
Go
moving
talk
on.
about him.
Nothing. I was just saying that's what he's being drafted as he always plays. He's just
yeah,
always
he's always
this.
there. He's consistent. I like him as
He's
well.
always 1,000-yard receiver. He is always going to give you 5+ touchdowns, and he will not quite get 100 receptions, but he'll get you in the 80s.
And if
That's
there's
what you
any
want.
injury to A.J. Brown, he immediately is a high-end wide receiver 1. So
Correct.
you love that. Don said he thinks Smith will get less yards than Brown, but will have more touchdowns than Brown. He thinks teams are going to be focusing on Brown and Barkley and Goddard while Smith is overlooked and snags those touchdowns. I just don't think we're overlooking Smith. I think they'd rather focus in on Smith than Goddard. Right?
Yeah.
Let's spend 30 seconds talking about Dallas Goedert. Decent tight end. We're going in that 12th round range right now. Right in that Njoku range that we've talked about a lot.
These are the tight ends I'm going to have on my team.
These are the I like these options. So
12th round, take my tight end. Yeah.
It's all good. And then flex, you put Will Shipley. Is that really what we got?
That is who, ADP-wise, that is who's next on the list, ahead of Kenneth Gainwell as the next. So,
Kenneth
And when I say
Gainwell.
high on rookies, he's basically going undrafted.
Okay, so let's just move on. All right, what do you got next? You got the Commanders?
Yes.
All right, the Commanders. We spent way too long on the Eagles. All right, keep it moving. We got Jaden Daniels. He is currently going in the 11th round. The upside is massive. It is Massive.
For his career, do you
For
think
his
massive
career, yeah.
this year?
Yeah, I think it's huge.
Do you think as a rookie his upside is massive?
Yes, it is.
What's massive?
He can
Like,
finish.
What is?
So he's currently going as quarterback 12. He can finish top 8. It's all the rushing. It's all with the rushing.
Okay.
If he gets 10 rushing touchdowns, all of a sudden we're talking about in the top 8. That is fact. Don't take him. You don't take rookie quarterbacks as your number one quarterback.
But that's how he's being taken. Like
He's no, he's not. He's going as well. See, listen. Not that I don't buy his ADP. I don't think it's very transparent, if I will, because what's happening, in my opinion, is people are taking Daniels here and then turning around and taking Tua with the next pick. You're taking Kirk with your next pick, so you're probably going to start Kirk week 1, right? But you want the upside, which I get.
This is a recipe for disaster.
You think so?
I love Jaden Daniels, and he's gonna be awesome in the NFL. I am so nervous about the hype right now for him. Like people, you're saying, like, oh, he could be a QB1, like 30 QBs in the NFL, 32, and you think he's gonna be one of the top 10? Or could be a top 8? The expectations are too high. He plays on the Commanders.
Okay, that doesn't matter. That makes no difference to me. I don't care. Oh, it's the command. I don't care. They have.
I do.
Why?
Because they are a bad team.
No. You can't just say, oh, they're a bad team. Any team can turn around. And they're not a bad team. In fact, look at their running backs. They got Brian Robinson, who's okay. He going in the 11. I will say,
past his prime.
Do you think Austin Eckler returns any value this year? 10th round ADP.
Maybe as a dump off, like dink and dunk.
I think in half point or full point PPR, I think he's a lot more feasible.
Yes.
Being currently taken as a running back 4, I'm okay with. I think that's fine, right? But
I think it's Brian Robinson's backfield. Austin Eckler will get all of the passes, like
all the third downs. So if you have to own one, because they're going nearly next to each other, who are you taking in a half point PPR league? Let's say
I like Brian Robinson better.
Why?
It's just his backfield. Like he is the guy. Like Austin Eckler is the change of pace, the third down, the pass catching. Like so in PPR that adds value for him. But like who is getting the ball on goal line carries? Who is getting the ball?
So it's the touchdown upside.
First and second down. It's Brian Robinson, who had a good year last year. Like from a fantasy perspective, he finished as what? Running back 22. That high end running back 3. He could do the same thing.
See, I think you're undervaluing the fact that this team is going to be behind a lot, and I'm guessing, which means they're going to have to pass the ball.
More behind than they were with Sam Howell last year?
Well, yeah, and they had decent fantasy players on that team because of it. In fantasy, I don't care if your team sucks in real life.
Yeah, but Sam Howell wasn't a top 10 quarterback.
Sam Howell didn't run the ball.
We're not
Anyways,
see eye to eye on
okay,
this. And that sucks because Jaden Daniels is great and I like him. You're just.
I think I'd rather have Austin Eckler.
Expectations are too high. Man.
Okay, we can disagree on Daniels, but I think I'd rather have Eckler. I think they're going to be behind and they're going to have to pass the ball. And I think that is we're going to see a good fantasy season out of Austin Eckler.
Right.
Wide receivers.
Care to book that against me, Jake?
No, because I'm the only one who's willing to book things ever. You always hide behind safe bookets.
The book-it that I'm
2 years. No.
Brian Robinson will be better than Austin Eckler.
Oh wow. No. Okay, great. That's a hot take.
It's because it's competitive.
No,
because you and I have to oppose
the hotter take is Austin Eckler being better than Robinson.
It is not. That is not how the ADPs are.
It doesn't. They are within 5 picks of each other.
Great, but that means a majority of people agree with you, which means I have the hotter take.
No, I think
I would make more money in Vegas betting Brian.
All right, everybody, we're going to check on our Facebook page, Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast, and I'll even post it on some other ones. I'm going to put a poll down, and I'm going to poll people, and I will book it that Brian Robinson is higher on that. People are going to. I'm going to say
everybody in the chat is saying Eckler, Jake. I think you're wrong. The people like Eckler better than they like Brian Robinson. The ADPs say it. Our community says it. You say it. It's only me. I'm the lone voice in the wilderness.
You're making it sound like you think Ben Sinnott is going to have more points than Austin Eckler.
Oh, he's a top 10 tight end.
Okay.
We'll get there.
All right. But my point is that You're like, oh, I'll book that. You want me to book it? It's not something massive. And that's why you all. That's why no.
Me versus you. That's why it's fun.
Zach in the chat says I like Brian Robinson. Here's the thing, and behind the scenes here, folks. Jordan only ever books things that, they're not hot take. They're not huge hot takes. They're not fun. They're just safe things. And then at the end of the year, he's always like, look at the stats. I was right again this year.
Jake, your most recent book from last episode was Jordan Addison's ADP will jump 1 round before the year will start. Okay. That is a book you put in last week. In fact, that was your only book you put in last week.
How many did you put in last week?
2.
Oh, nice.
Get out of here.
Okay, all right. I'll take the L on that part. But
I keep the stats. I am the keeper of I'm the historian.
Yeah, you're
Jake.
the historian. Who has the most buckets every year? Me, because I'm willing to say more.
Like 3.
Oh no. Jeez,
I can't
Louise.
do this with you.
All right, forget it.
We're live. Come on, move on.
I'm live. The people know. Hashtag Team Jake. Hashtag down with Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag Ben Sinnott is a top 10 tight end? Question mark?
Question mark.
Go ahead, Jordan.
No, I don't feel that way. He's a rookie. Moving on. I was just trying to.
Yeah, rookie tight ends typically don't produce huge. Yeah. I will say, I think he could finish in the top 15 for tight ends. I mean, a rookie or a tight end is always a rookie's dump down guy, right? So, I mean, it's certainly possible he could finish, as tight end 15, tight end 14.
How many times is Jaden Daniels throwing this ball if Austin Eckler is having career receptions and
he throws it 350 times this year? What would you take, over or under?
Under.
Oh, I would take the over.
But you don't want to book that.
I'd book that. I'll book that. See, but here's the thing. You should be the one booking the under. But no, I'll take the over, so if I'm wrong, I take the
I'm saying let's book it against each other. Those are fun.
Oh, yeah, great.
We did that like 50% of our bookings last year were against each other.
Then do it. Jesus. You guys remember the NFC East was the day that Jordan and Jake fell apart. Terry McLaurin, we can agree, is grossly underrated in the NFL. 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns, 79 catches. Going as in the 6th round, I think I'm going to end up with a lot of them here. Because better quarterback play, I think he has better stats than he did last year. I think he outproduces. He is a high-end wide receiver 4 he's being drafted as. I think it's better than that. We've seen him have wide receiver 1 weeks. I mean, he's been drafted in the past as a high-end wide receiver 2. And I think he can return to that. So I really like that ADP. And then go ahead.
No,
Great.
Ditto.
Good. Stop talking. Jahan Dotson, first round pick from 2 years ago. Excuse me, 2 years ago. Do you think he can? Do you like him in the 15th?
I mean, sure. You're just throwing darts at that point.
Okay, Jordan.
You're guessing. That's fine.
But
in the
Jordan
15th is
great.
How high are you on Jaden Daniels? I'm not. I'm not taking him in the 15th.
Jordan, you're lacking conviction tonight, and that's what's killing me here. You're like, maybe we're supposed to have the hot takes. We're telling the people what to do, and you're like,
don't
maybe.
Like what I'm saying.
No,
you disagree with me.
You're just saying, I guess. It's like, oh, that's not fun.
Because you're asking me about a guy in the 15th round.
All right, talk about the Giants. Daniel Jones, he sucks. No one draft him. He's terrible. I don't think he plays every game this season. Correct?
Who's his backup now?
Drew Lock, who was told he had a real chance to play.
Yikes. All right.
So I'm moving on from that. Let's go to tight end Theo Johnson. He's a rookie. You're probably not taking him. Moving on. John in the chat says Jake and then throws up the finger. He acknowledges me. That's what's up. John gets it. The flex, we have Tyrone Tracy Jr. Good Lord. That's as a running back. There is rumblings and tumblings about him having some sort of role in that backfield. And I think he's one to look at. I look at it because the running back is Devin Singletary being drafted as running back 32. So the last starter on the team, running back 29. He came out of nowhere and had a pretty decent year for the Texans. And here's my comp to this. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But if you remember a few years ago, Dameon Pierce, all summer, people were just rumbling and talking about him. And they're like, he'll have some sort of role. I can't even remember who the guy ahead of him was. Oh, that was the Mac Hollins, or not Mac Hollins. That was the Marlon Mack year, where I was like, that's what it was. Yeah. No, but and there's veterans ahead of him, and he slowly kind of took that backfield. I don't think it's going to happen here. I won't book that or anything, but I think it is certainly possible. I think Devin Singletary played well. He got some money. I don't think he's going to be great. I think he'll be fine.
And they're shifting the whole team to be younger. Like, they're not playing for now. So why have they're going to give the young guy more touches. So I think at the start of the year, Devin Singletary will be a little bit better, and then that'll wane as the year goes on.
I agree.
Is my guess.
10th round ADP. If you need a starting running back, that offers good value.
I don't mind the ADP.
No.
Like, basically the end of the 10th round to
For
get
a
someone
starting
will get touches. Like, that's I don't hate it, but
No.
I think set your expectations. He's not taking you to the playoffs.
No. I think he could, assuming, he holds off Tyron Tracy, I think he could, as a running back 5, your 4 on your team, maybe, where, oh man, I really need a week, or a starter this week. Put him in. He'll get 12, 13, 14 carries and be okay with it. And then let's talk about the receivers. We got Malik Neighbors, the rookie, going in the 5th round. Wan'Dale Robinson going in the 18th round. I just hate this offense. I mean, that's all it is.
The only one who I even think has remotely okay ADP is Devin Singletary. Malik Neighbors, with whoever is throwing him the ball in the 5th round, no thank you. Unless it's dynasty. And then Wan'Dale Robinson in the 18th. This is like the same as Jahan Dotson. Like, I guess, you're just throwing darts at that point. Do you need a wide receiver and to fill out your roster? Like, you can go for it.
Yeah, agreed.
You probably won't
I agree.
start,
Honestly, who am I going to end up with of this offense on my teams this year? It's going to be Devin Singletary.
Yeah, if I have someone.
Yes, I'm not. I hate Daniel Jones. I know he had the good year going into not this past year, but the year prior. The rushing upside is there. I get it. But I just don't think he plays. I think he gets benched at some point, and that's why I don't really want him. And Malik Neighbors, I want Malik Neighbors a year from now.
Daniel Jones betrayed me. I was the biggest proponent for Daniel Jones going into next year, and he just betrayed me.
Jordan, Malik Neighbors going in as wide receiver 24 in the 5th round. Too high, we both agree.
Yes.
You taking him in the 7th?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so it's just too high. It's just too high right now. It'll be interesting to see if that kind of falls this summer.
Yeah. He's exciting. That's
very
an exciting
exciting.
upside
He's very
receiver. So if
exciting.
you have a bunch of other safe picks and you kind of have your receivers filled out, like, you could take him and hope for the best.
Yeah.
7th, 8th round is as high as I would take him.
Agreed. John says, Jordan, Daniels goes over 315 easily.
Yeah, the math I was doing in my head was very incorrect when you said 350 attempts. It's 350 is would be less than any starting quarterback ever.
Yeah, I know. That's
I did the math incorrectly too quickly. I was fired up.
I will allow
my
you to get rid of it. I will allow you to get rid of it. Did you write it down as a book it?
No, I did not write it down.
Okay, you may. Yeah, we can move past. Not our brightest moment. Let's get to the team that everyone here can all agree we hate the most. The Dallas Cowboys.
Fantasy, though.
They're not America's team. That is home to your Green Bay Packers. They are America's team. And there's nothing better as Packer fans. I would say beating the Dallas Cowboys makes me happier than beating the Chicago Bears. I love it. I love it. I love that we beat them in the playoffs because they're just so pretentious. Who has worse fans? Not our listeners. You guys are all great. But who has worse fans? The Jets or the Cowboys?
Nobody has bad fans, Jake.
That's wrong. It's the Cowboys.
Everybody,
because
except that
they
one Lions
think
fan
they're
who called me a bum.
except that one Lions fan that called them a bum. Oh my gosh. No. The Cowboys fans are just crazy. They think they're so great They think Dak is the best, and that's because Dak is. I love Dak Prescott.
Oh,
Wasn't expecting that.
What an unexpected, yeah.
Oh,
Should he get paid $55 million a year, Jake?
If Trevor Lawrence is being paid $55 million, right? Well, the age is a little different, right? That's the problem.
I think
should he make
60.
Should he make what Kirk got made? Absolutely, he deserves it more. I have talked about Dak Prescott, and the only reason people hate him is because he has a star on his helmet. That is the only reason. Can Dak Prescott win a Super Bowl? Absolutely.
Hot take.
And he's currently not signed, and if they don't sign him, he will walk next year the same way Kirk did. And I think whatever team he goes on is... like, if you ask me, in a hypothetical, Kirk Cousins goes to the Falcons, and then they do whatever this year was going to be, right? I think if you put Dak on the Falcons, it would be better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dak is a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. Yes.
Few people said, I like dem boys and no, the Packers are not. The Packer fans are the worst. That's just because you live around here and aren't a Packer fan. So let's
Jake, this podcast is getting hostile.
Oh.
Between me and you, between us in the chat.
It's not. It's great. Hey, all news is good news. All interaction is good interaction. 7th round ADP, quarterback 7. Finished as quarterback 3 last year. Love it. I think this would be the first time, if I'm not taking one of those early, like I skipped the Lamars and the apparently the Hurts and the Mahomes, right? This is where I start thinking, excuse me, my apologies. Drop my phone everywhere. This is where I start thinking about it. Love Dak Prescott. The quarterback's going around him. I want him probably over everyone else.
The quarterback's going ahead of him? Is that they are
or behind him? Right around the two. Who are the 2 in front and 2 in back? Sorry, I'm waving my hand.
CJ is right ahead of him.
Okay, I'd rather have CJ.
It's a whole round though.
Okay.
And then the quarterback after him are Joe Burrow and Jordan Love neck and neck a round later.
Interesting. Oh, that is interesting. Because I probably would lean Joe Burrow. But I'd rather
if I'm sitting in the 7th round where Dak's getting taken right now, and Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, and Joe Burrow are all still available, I'm not taking a quarterback in the 7th round.
Yeah, I'd wait till the 8th and take whichever one's available there.
I would take any of those other ones later.
But what I'm saying is if he ends up on your team, you have a quarterback who could finish top 5. Do I think he finishes top 3 again? I'm going to go on a limb and say no. But top 5, absolutely. Positively an option. Running back, we got Zeke going as running back 40 in the 13th round. Here's the thing. Is he washed up? Yes, absolutely. Do I love that he's back in Dallas? Sure, because it's fun. But most likely a started running back in the 13th round.
It's the Devin Singletary. It's Devin Singletary all over again. I'll take him.
Give me that, yeah.
I love it, yeah.
Who would you rather have?
Zeke in the 13th.
See, it's all about value, right? You can get a starting running back who's going to give you roughly the same numbers 3 rounds later, even in late rounds, it matters. Yes, do it. Let's talk about receivers. We got CeeDee Lamb, finishes running wide receiver 1. He's going in the 1-2. So we've talked about Hill, we've talked about Jefferson, and then I'm forgetting someone, Chase. Any of those could be wide receiver 1. Any order of them is fine to me. It's CMC, and then whoever this picks second, who do you like the most?
Yes.
Could he finish 1,700 yards? Is hard to replicate. I think he could absolutely do it again.
Yeah, I mean, he's 130 receptions. He'll probably get that again, right? Just the target share is huge. And they didn't bring anyone else in to, like, really compete with that, right? Or take away any of his targets. So it's what he does with those. I think 1,500 yards plus, 10 touchdowns plus is what we're looking at.
Yep.
You love it.
Other wide receiver, the GOAT, Brandon Cooks. Year 3 of Brandon Cooks.
He'll never let you down, Jay.
He's never not let me down since we started this podcast.
Yes.
Definitely came on stronger at the end of the year. Jordan, I believe you had him.
It saved his numbers. I was
looking
into it.
It did. It really
he was like
did.
a snoozer the whole year until like the last 6 games of the season, which I guess is what you want, right?
Yeah.
Like that's playoff time.
You know, someone was in a pinch and was like, God, let's put Brandon Cooks in, and then he produced.
Yeah.
wide receiver 59, finishes wide receiver 35, 14th round. I will say, I think that's decent value for him. He is wide receiver 2 in a good offense with a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, Jahan Dotson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Brandon Cooks. Who are you taking?
I'm going to take Brandon Cooks.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take Dotson, and then I'm going to take Wendell.
That's how they're being taken ADPs.
This is the division of mid-round or mid-teen round receivers. Here's what I think. Finishing, he's being taken as wide receiver 30 or 59. I think it is absolutely feasible that he finishes as wide receiver 35 again. That can absolutely happen in that general area. So, based on just that is good value. Agreed.
Agreed. Yeah.
All right. Love it. Great. Jake Ferguson finishes tight end 8 from. He is a Badger.
Wisconsin Badger.
Did you know he is missing one finger? He only has 9 fingers. I don't know why I know that, but it's true.
Okay.
Finishes as tight end 8, being drafted as tight end 9. So he's going right ahead of that group that we've talked about, the Njoku going in the 9th round, last pick of the 9th round. So we'll call it 10th round, first pick in the 10th round. He's right in that section. You waiting around and taking Njoku?
Yes.
But I have no problem if anyone wants to take Ferguson here. I also think
this is like right in this range is where you're getting me being like, it might be time to take his head.
And I think that
8 other players on my team, 9 other players on my team, none of them are tight ends, and I'm like, all right, it might be time.
Goddard is going 3 rounds earlier, and it is certainly possible that someone will take Goddard in the 9th round, and you'll get Ferguson in the 12th.
Yes.
Like all those guys are going to be shifting based on whatever draft you're doing. So my thought here is he'll give you tight end 1 numbers every week, most likely. Nothing crazy, but a safe, reliable guy who will get you a touchdown every other week. Or every
7 to 12 points a week.
Yeah. Which is fine if that's the strategy you're going with. And then we'll end on the most exciting person, Rico Dowdle. Back up to...
I think his stock is increasing because Zeke is there.
Yeah.
There's seven running backs apart from each other. Zeke is RB40. Rico is RB47.
Yeah.
And you're trying to capture the
magic.
The Tony Pollard lightning again.
Oh, the Tony Pollard lightning. It's electric. It's electric. All right, guys, there you have it. That is the NFC East. Next week, Jordan, you won't be here.
I know.
NFC
Gone next
South.
week.
Gone doing something or another. I don't remember what you said you were doing. But you are off into the ether. We'll have Adam back. And we will also be joined by our resident NFC South correspondent, Don. Correspondent Don will also be joining us. And that's really important because who knows what Adam's internet's going to be like. So I'll have someone else here with me. So
Vic, I feel like we can't leave this episode without booking something about the Commanders against each other.
Okay, make a book.
We fought for like 10 minutes about it.
I told you that he's going to finish in the top 10.
I think he finishes outside the top 15.
All right, perfect. I accept it.
You accept that as a book it?
Well, he's currently going as... Okay, how about this? He's currently going as quarterback 11 right now, right? 12?
12.
I think he'll finish top 9. So that way we kind of went 3 rounds...
3-round swing.
Yep. 3-round swing.
I think he's going to be 3 round down. You think he's going to be 3 rounds up.
And then he might finish as wide receiver 11 or quarterback 11, and we'll be fine. So,
yep, I love it.
You guys appreciate you guys hanging around in the chat. If you're listening later on, we appreciate you guys as well. You guys are awesome. Keep an eye out on our Facebook page for some more leaks we're going to drop here soon. And Jordan, unless you have anything else you would like to say.
I do not.
No, we've talked about this. You have to start thinking of something.
Take care. Be good.
I hate you. Take care. Be good, guys.
You're listening to the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. Follow and subscribe on Facebook and YouTube at the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast.